How to be more comfortable on stage or when speaking to others in public. So, one of the things that I notice a lot is that when people get up in front of others, whether it's a small room or a big room, they get nervous. They begin to get sweaty palms. They stumble over their words. Perhaps they forget what to say or even just simply to smile. And then people that are listening to you may feel awkward, or maybe that they even maybe will go as far as to say that you don't know what you're doing, right? Instead, what we all want is to speak with clarity, with confidence, and with what they call likability. So I want to give you a few tips on that. So first of all, when you get up in front of others, you want to first just observe. Even though you're supposed to speak right away, you want to actually take a beat, as they call it in theater, to just get a hold of yourself and to watch and observe the room. Now, what are you watching for? What are you observing? Well, you're observing their body language. So let's say you're getting up in church and it's 10 a.m. and people are late. There's nobody in there. And people are looking around, kind of wondering, is anybody going to show up today? You may want to get up there and say, well, actually, before we get to that, just observe that very thing. The second step is to then actually mirror their energy. Mirror their energy. What I mean by that is, back to this example, let's say people are just a little fidgety, wondering, is anybody going to show up? What's going on here? Did I miss the boat here? Am I here at the wrong time? You may want to get up there and say something like, man, I'm glad that my wife and kids showed up today. It seems like everyone slept in. Ha 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 ha. Right? What you're doing there is you're mirroring the energy of the room, the thoughts of the room, but more than anything is the energy. And then you're acknowledging it. That's mirroring. And then, though, and this is where the third step comes in, you're then taking a risk. The third step is you take a risk. Now, what was the risk in that statement? Well, the joke was the risk. And first, let me tell you, I'm not a great storyteller, and I'm definitely horrible at telling jokes or trying to make people laugh. But it's a risk for me. And even if I mess up, people will at least applaud your effort. Now, in this example, what was the risk? Well, me saying, first acknowledging that people are feeling a little awkward, that's risky, right? But then second is making fun of myself, what they call being self-deprecating. In this case, what I said is, well, at least my wife and kids showed up to church. What you don't want to do, what you want to avoid is ignoring what people are feeling, to ignore the energy in the room. Or even worse, to judge the room. So for example, a way that I've seen this done so many times, that people would judge an empty room and say something like, well, where two or three are gathered, that's where the Lord is. That's sort of like an attempt at humor, even an attempt at being somehow like maybe having perspective, biblical perspective, but really it comes across as neutral / awkward. You don't want to be in a place where only two or three are gathered, right? You want to be at a place where 100 people or 1,000 people are gathered. Even worse, some people may say something like, man, I can't believe Martha didn't show up again to church. I bet she's late again. Because the minute that you judge one person, you're judging everyone. So what you want to do is take that risk and actually move the energy forward. And that is the third step. So again, to go over these again, first you want to observe. Second, you want to mirror. And then third, take that risk. And that risk could be a joke. That risk could be to be self-deprecating. That risk could be that that maybe you do something that feeds their fears. So for example, this is like risk, very risky. You would say something like, hello everybody, good morning, welcome. Well, it seems like everyone slept in today. Maybe it's because our church is going bankrupt. Obviously, you would never say that, right? You would only say that if you really want to follow that up with, come to the business meeting to find out more, right? You would never say that. But that's the ultimate risk, is to actually be vulnerable, and maybe even, and I would say that is not vulnerability, that is being inappropriate and TMI, as they say. But that's an example, right, of the kind of the ultimate kind of awkward moment, right? A better example, let's say you did have to tell the church or the board or your family, let's say, some bad news or difficult news. You may want to gather everyone. You may want to, again, observe. Is everyone kind of worried? Probably, right? If you've called a family meeting. Second, you want to mirror. Is everyone kind of just sitting there tense? So you want to just acknowledge that. And even yourself, just quiet yourself. And then third, if you do want to take that risk and actually say some big news, you may want to say something like, hello, family. You may have noticed that lately we've had a lot of problems here at the house. And I want to tell you more. It's not as bad as you think. Your mom and I are actually going to counseling, and we're working things out. Right? That's a really, really raw example, but I wanted to tell you that because that is a great way to observe the room. Let's say your family, right? They've all been noticing. Second is to mirror their energy, to acknowledge what they're feeling, to quiet yourself, to put yourself in their shoes. And then third, that risk is what? To be vulnerable. Yes, we have problems, but, and this is what leaders do, and this is how you influence others, you provide a way forward, a plan, or really it comes down to just hope. You provide hope. Let's say you're a young person in your 20s and you're trying to talk to that girl that you like, right? Maybe you've tried it before and it just hasn't worked. Okay, so first, how do you observe? Well, assuming that it's someone new, okay? You observe that they're coming in to, I don't know, maybe at school or maybe at the coffee shop. And she's with friends, right? And she's very bubbly. So you notice that she's a very bubbly person. Mental note. Now, second is you then mirror. If you're going to go and talk to that person, then you don't want to come in like very quiet, right? And even though for you being bubbly may feel fake, for her, your quote bubbly actually makes her feel comfortable. So you may want to say something like, I love that song that they're playing. Don't you also love Coldplay? I don't know. I'm old, okay. Or maybe, Chance the Rapper. So if you come in with a positive, bubbly energy, talking about music is something positive, something bubbly. So she may still say creep, or she might say, yeah, I kind of like that song too. But in the back of her mind, she's saying, oh, this guy, we have similar interests, right? So you're matching her energy. And then what's the risk? Well, of course, the risk is everything. Approaching her, talking about the music. But the real risk would be this, something like, again, bubbly person who likes, let's say, Chance the Rapper. You could say something like, this is the ultimate risk. I'm actually friends with Chance the Rapper. I'm just kidding. I don't even know who he is. Okay, that was really dumb. But it's a risk because you're being self-deprecating. And you're kind of like breaking the ice of the whole interaction. Instead of lying or saying, oh yeah, I'm going to see him tonight, you're actually making a joke of the fact that wouldn't it be awesome? Wouldn't it be great to know this guy? But then you're like, I'm just kidding. And so that honesty combined with the playfulness, near disaster, near awkward moment, can be very connecting. So let's say now you're an adult, right? And you're talking to just your boss or leaders in your church or leaders in your organization. And you need to congratulate them on a job well done. So again, you walk into a room, you observe. Everyone is excited because they can tell that there have been good things happening. So You observe, but you notice that one person is a little nervous because their area maybe isn't doing too well. And so they're kind of wondering, am I just kind of the odd man out? So you observe that, right? Second, you mirror. So you walk in, and because most of the room is upbeat, you walk in and you pick up some grapes. You're kind of eating, you're shaking hands, you're mirroring the room, even though there's just one person, right? And then third, you take the risk and you say, guys, we've had an awesome summer. God is great, isn't he? And everyone's like, yeah. And again, that might not be you. You might not be an extrovert. You might not be a social butterfly. You might not like big noises, but the room is what mandates your energy. Now, that's not really a huge risk. That's more matching. But the risk would be this. Say something like, we've had an amazing summer, but there's an area that even though it may feel like it's not going too well, actually, they need all of us to step up and help them in the fall. And I want to give Rick a chance to explain how. Rick? See, that's powerful because you're acknowledging what the one person is thinking, meaning, okay, I'm not doing well. I have no reason to celebrate or eat fruit or party. But instead of you just ignoring, you're taking the risk to go there and assuming that you've talked to Rick about this ahead of time and say, hey, Rick, I'm here to help you, man. I support you 100%. You're bringing him into the room. But again, as I said, you're providing guidance. And most of all, you are ignoring, or maybe even better, you are getting rid of any negative feelings that not only he, but others may have of him. When I said, you may have wondered that one area is not doing well. So that acknowledges everyone's thinking, right? But instead of you saying, yeah, I don't know what to do, this is just bad news, you say, and by the way, he needs help. We all need to step up, and he's going to tell you how. Boom. You've won the room. You've won that person. You have provided leadership and guidance and hope. And I'm telling you, I don't do that perfectly. I struggle with this still to this day. But I'm improving. And if you begin to just implement those 3 steps, observe, mirror, match, and then take a risk, you will begin to have more influence at home, at work, with your friends. And remember, this is not to manipulate. This is simply to connect and to provide hope. You're providing hope. Don't you love people that give you hope? Of course you do. Don't you want to be one of those persons? Of course you do. Learn these techniques. Leave me a comment below of how you are implementing these principles. And I will see you next time.